Welcome to The Explainer. This is where we break down big, powerful ideas into something you can actually use. And today, we are diving deep into a really controversial, but honestly, brilliant book. Robert Greene's The 33 Strategies of War. So Greene starts with this quote, and it's pretty provocative, right? The life of man upon earth is a warfare. And his whole point is that this isn't some ancient idea. He argues it's more true now than ever. Conflict. It isn't just for soldiers on a battlefield. It's a constant, totally unavoidable part of our daily lives. You see it in office politics, family drama, everywhere, really, whether we like to admit it or not. And that really brings us to the book's first big idea. Life is a battlefield. The argument here is that we're all warriors, in a sense. The world can be a really competitive, sometimes even a nasty place. And pretending it's not, well, that just leaves you wide open and vulnerable. And this really gets at a tension I think we've all felt. On one hand, society tells us, be nice, be cooperative. But the reality, Greene says, is that just below that polite surface, there's this constant jostling for position. We're always running into rivals who are playing these subtle games to get an edge. And come on, we've all been there. That sting of passive aggression from a coworker, or dealing with someone who will do just about anything to get ahead.
So here's the kicker. The problem isn't the conflict itself. It's that most of us, well, we're just not very good at it. We handle it so badly. We get emotional, we avoid confrontation until it just blows up, we get angry, we get defensive, maybe a little manipulative. Greene's whole point is that there is a much better way, and that's the path of the strategist.
Okay, so where does that path begin? Not with your opponent, but with you. Before you can even think about winning some external battle, you have to win the war that's going on inside your own head. He calls this self-directed warfare. And honestly, this idea is right at the heart of the entire book. Think about it. A mind that's all clouded up with emotion, it's going to create strategies that completely miss the mark every single time. So forging a mind that's calm, resilient, and clear, that's not just a nice to have. It is the first, most critical step to becoming a true strategist. So how do you actually build this inner fortress? Well, Greene gives us a strategy for it, called the counterbalance strategy. The best way to think about it is like weight training, but for your mind. You intentionally expose yourself to small bits of adversity to build up that mental toughness. The whole goal is to learn how to detach so that when a real conflict kicks off, you're the one who can keep your cool while everyone else is losing theirs. And that right there, that's the payoff. Let others lose their heads. Your presence of mind will steer you clear of their influence and keep you on course. Basically, when everyone else is freaking out, reacting with fear and frustration, your clarity of mind becomes your ultimate weapon. You start seeing opportunities where they only see problems. All right, so once you've started to master that inner state, you can turn your focus outward. It's time to talk about how to outmaneuver your opponents. This is where that inner strength really starts to translate into effective, powerful action. So let's talk about a classic problem. How do you deal with someone who's super aggressive and always makes the first move? We've all been there, right? Someone comes at you hard in a meeting or in a negotiation. And what's our first instinct? Usually it's to push back with that same level of force. But a true strategist, well, they do the exact opposite. And the answer is what Greene calls the counterattack strategy. It's all about discovering the power of holding back. You let the other side make the first move. By doing that, you're basically forcing them to show their hand, to reveal their strategy. And now they're committed. You, on the other hand, are totally flexible. You can just wait for them to make a mistake, to get a little too aggressive, and then, when they're off balance, that's when you make your move. A perfect example of this in action is Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was a master of this kind of political jujitsu. His opponents would just launch these hostile campaigns against him, attacking him nonstop. But instead of fighting back right away, what did he do? He'd just retreat. He'd go silent. And his opponents, well, they'd just get louder and louder, more and more aggressive, until eventually the public just got sick of hearing it. Then, right when the timing was perfect, like just before an election, Roosevelt would launch this sudden, powerful counteroffensive. It caught everyone completely by surprise. Absolutely brilliant. But here's the thing. Winning individual battles, even if you do it cleverly well, they're just battles. The real goal is to win the long war. And that means you need to shift your perspective to something much, much bigger.
And that's where grand strategy comes in. This is the art of looking way beyond the immediate fight. You stop just reacting to whatever's happening day to day. Instead, you start focusing on your ultimate goal, plotting out every single step you need to take to get there. Every move, every little battle you decide to fight, or maybe even decide to ignore, it's all calculated to get you closer to that big prize.
Napoleon Bonaparte put it perfectly. Let others get caught up in the twists and turns of the battle, relishing their little victories. Grand strategy will bring you the ultimate reward, the last laugh. Just think about how many people get obsessed with winning small arguments or scoring tiny points at work. The grand strategist, they're keeping their eyes on what really matters. They get that sometimes you might even have to lose a small battle today if it puts you in the perfect position to win the whole war tomorrow.
So what this really requires is for you to think ahead, to think about the long-term consequences of every single action. You have to make sure that every move you make is actually serving your ultimate purpose. It's about making sure today's actions are setting the stage for tomorrow's big win. And all of this leads us to what I think is really the philosophical core of the entire book. It's perfectly summed up by the contrast between two Greek gods of war. You see, the ancient Greeks, they had two different gods of war, and they actually despised Ares, who was the god of just brutal, violent warfare. But they worshipped Athena, the goddess of strategic, intelligent warfare. This isn't just a mythology lesson. It's a really powerful metaphor for two completely different ways to approach any kind of conflict. And this comparison gives us a choice, a really clear one. On one side, you have Ares. He's all about being brutal, direct, violent, obvious. He's emotional, reactive, and honestly, kind of stupid and easy to mislead. On the other side, you have Athena. She's strategic, indirect, rational, subtle, calm, always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. So the choice is, do you want to be an Ares, who fights harder, or an Athena, who fights smarter?
Because ultimately, the goal is to blend philosophy and war, wisdom and battle into something that's just unbeatable. The highest form of strategy is to win without any actual bloodshed. To be so smart, so strategic, that you can turn your opponent's own aggression back on them, making it the very thing that causes their downfall. So, as we wrap this up, it all comes down to a simple question you have to ask yourself. In your daily battles, at work, in your personal life, wherever, who are you channeling? Are you being Ares or are you being Athena? The path you choose? Well, that's entirely up to you.